Hey, welcome back. Today we're looking at 3-18 complex fractions. So complex fractions is another thing that you guys need to be good at as you're moving forward in math, going to higher levels. But the concept is really simple. Anytime we have a division, we can say that that's the same thing as multiply by the reciprocal. And that's something you guys learned in maybe elementary school, maybe middle school. But let's kind of demonstrate it here. So we know that 6 divided by 2 is 3. That's easy, right? So we can rewrite this as 6 times the reciprocal, right? Instead of saying divided by 2, we can say times the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2, is equal to 3. Right? So we can rewrite this division as a multiplication by the reciprocal. Now let's see how we're going to apply this. So for the first one, let's change colors. What we're going to do in these cases where we have an addition or a subtraction on top, we're going to do our addition or subtraction first. So that mostly means, or that most of the time means, that we need to do our least common denominator, right? So let's go ahead and do this one for problem number 1. So we're going to multiply by 2 top and bottom. We're going to multiply by 5 top and bottom. Then for the second one, notice that we can multiply by 2 to get 4, so we don't have to touch the second part, we just have to multiply the first one by 2. Alright, so what it's going to look like is 2 times 6 is 12 over 10, minus 5 times 5 is 25 over 10. And then here we're going to have 2 times 3 is 6 over 4, minus 5 over 4. So then let's subtract now that we have the common denominator. So 12 minus 25 is negative 13 over 10, divided by the bottom part, 6 minus 5 is 1 over 4. Right, at this point, this is the division we're looking at, so we're going to multiply the numerator times the reciprocal of the denominator. So the reciprocal of 1/4 is 4 over 1. We can simplify 4 and 10. We can divide those both by 2. So we get negative 13 times 2 is negative 26 over 5 times 1, which is 5. Okay, and then this step would be change the division to multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, example number 2. This one we don't have to add and subtract. We don't have two things like we had over here. So we can just jump into step 2, where we can do x plus 3 over 7x. We're going to replace this division with a multiplication by the reciprocal of the denominator. So 2x to the 5th over 3. Well, we can take one x in the denominator and cancel with one of the x's in the numerator. So then we have 2x to the 4th, x plus 3, over 7 times 3, which is 21. Okay, so once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. Once you realize that anytime we have a complex fraction, a fraction inside of a fraction, what we're going to do is we're going to take the numerator, multiply it by the reciprocal of the denominator. Alright, so number 3, this is our numerator. We're multiplying by the reciprocal of our denominator, so x plus 3 over x to the 4th. This is nice because the x plus 3's cancel. And then here we can cancel this x with one of the x's in the bottom. Notice that there's nothing in the numerator. We're not going to leave it blank. We're not going to say it's 0 because technically we're dividing stuff out. So when we divide something by itself, we still have a 1 left. And in the bottom we have x cubed. Okay, and then 4, same idea, numerator times our reciprocal of our denominator. All right, so notice here and here, always be careful. We can factor stuff out of there to simplify it, so let's do that now. So in the bottom, I know that 4 and 28 are divisible by 4. We're going to factor that 4 out. What we're left with is x plus 7. Same thing in the numerator for the second part. We can divide those by 3. So then we're left with x plus 7 when we factor our 3 out. So now let's start simplifying this a little bit. We know that this x can cancel with one of the x's in the denominator. We know that x plus 7 can cancel with itself. Nothing else that we can simplify from our numbers. So we have 7 times 3 on top. And on the bottom we have 4 times 5 is 20 x to the 4th. Okay, on to the last one. Of course, we got to practice our factoring, right? So, well, let's just set it up first. 5v squared over v plus 4 is our numerator. We're going to change this division symbol into a multiplication by the reciprocal. Okay, now we need to factor this thing. So we're looking for what multiplies to get 16, but adds to get 8. So that would be 4 and 4. Oops, sorry, this isn't 5 here. This is a 4. Okay, so we can cancel one of these with this one. We can reduce 5 and 35. And then we can take 2 of the v's here and cancel them with 2 of the v's on the bottom. So we have v plus 4 left in our numerator. In our denominator, we have 7v squared. Okay, so once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy. You might have to factor to simplify a little bit more, but the more we practice factoring, the better we get at it. Yeah, good job.